All right, we are back on a spooky morning. I guess Allen Sircy's with us. I'm Nick Barris. We're talking about Southern ghost stories. He's written several books. By the way, where can folks get these books?
Amazon.com.
Hold a couple of them up. Hold one up. You see on the monitoring show what you got there, for instance.
Yeah, Murfreesboro.
You see them? Oh, there you go. Oh, she's got it. She's got it. There you go. Tell me about it. So where can you go? Are they? Oh, you
Amazon.com, and there's the Willie Nelson Museum and Music Valley Drive has the Opryland book. Different places, kind of local thing.
Yeah.
Franklin, that's available at the Lowe's House. Landmark Booksellers. The Gallatin books available at Pickled Treats and Antiques up there across from Rosemont. Timeless Treasures on the Square. Town Creek Chic and
So
Gallatin.
You can order them online and the like. And do you self-publish or do you
self-publish? Yes, sir.
Self-publish and then put them out and distribute them and. I mean, they're neat books, and they're an easy read. They're the kind of read that you can do where you can just bounce around. You don't have to read it from start to finish.
And I try to keep it like, I'll keep the street, so if you want to read the book and take your own tour, you know, everything's right there together. I get like Main Street or on the square. I make it so everything, you walk in a circle. And
yeah.
Keep
Well,
it
would be fun. It would be to get one of these books, kind of read it over, flip around, and then go to the square on Murfreesboro and have the book with you as you go through there. And
it's funny, like all these people work in these historic historic buildings, these businesses, they have stores. I'll tell you if you ask them.
Oh, yeah. I bet. I think they enjoy talking about it.
Yeah.
It's part of the
Well, some do, some don't. Some are scared it's going to hurt their business. But
oh, yeah. Okay, well, I'm sorry. Who did you say was online too, Mary Elena? Arnold. Good morning. Hi, Arnold.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
I've got a story. My mother died back in 2006, and then the next night she showed up in the den of our home. I can relate that to you if you want to hear it.
Well, sure, if it's not too long. So she passed away the day before, and then you and your family were mourning the next day, and you were in the den, and what happened?
She died October the 29th of 2006, and next night I was up in the kitchen. I think I was fixing myself something to eat, and my wife was sitting down in the den, and she hollered up the stairs at me. She said, "Where's this smell coming from?" I hollered back down the stairs at her, "What smell? What does it smell like?" Because in the 20 years we had lived there, we had never had any smells or anything in the den. But she hollered back at me. She said, "Perfume. There's a very strong smell of perfume down here. Where is it coming from?" And then she started hollering for me to hurry up and come down there so I could smell it before it was gone. It took me 20, 30 seconds for me to stop what I was doing in the kitchen, but I walked downstairs, walked over to where she was sitting on the end of the couch, and I took a big sniff of the air, and the air was thick with perfume. It was overwhelming, and it was the perfume that my mother wore when I was a child.
Wow.
And I know this because in the instant I smelled it, it brought back a memory of that.
Sure. And so you just smelled it. You did not see her, right?
Right. My wife, she smelled it first.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you. And have you ever had any other encounters since then? That's been more than 15 years ago. And has it happened since, or you think it was just that one time, and do you take it as though she was stopping by one last time to say goodbye?
Yeah, I think that's what, she was just saying, "I'm all right. I still exist. I'm just on the other side now."
You know what? A story like that, and I think that's wonderful. Thanks for sharing it. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, you hear something like that, that can be comforting, to know that maybe she's all right, or wondering what's in store for you down the road, whatever your religious beliefs are like. I'm curious. You talk about, your equipment you go out with. Mm-hmm. You talk about what you've seen with your eyes. What about smells?
It's funny the gentleman brought that up. I was at Ripa Villa in Spring Hill a couple years ago, and I was walking around with a buddy of mine who was giving a tour, and on the tour is a very attractive lady. And at the end of the tour, I went over to the guy and I said, "Man, that girl's perfume, it about knocked me down. It was so strong." He looked at me and said, "Alan, that wasn't hers." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "It's the lady of the house. Whenever there's an attractive lady on the tour, the lady there feels threatened, and she lets her presence be known by, you smell the lavender or whatever she used to wear back in the 1800s.
This is during the tour?
Yes, sir. After it was over, I pulled him aside and said, "Man, that girl's perfume is just so strong."
And do they and that's what he shared with you, but they didn't say anything about that during the tour to the other people?
No, it was kind of just a private moment between he and I, but he said that it's happened before.
You sure there wasn't some Ripa Villa staffer in the back there spraying perfume?
No, I don't think so.
That's interesting. So it was a jealousy of this woman who was guiding the tour or something along those lines. So scent can be a part, I guess, in some of your research, all of the senses. All right, so obviously you sight, you've seen something, you can smell. Do people feel? I mean, will you have reports of people feeling as though they've been touched by someone, or punched, or pushed, or tickled, or?
We did a fundraiser in Gallatin back last week for the museum in Trousdale Place up there on the square. And there was a skeptical young lady, she's a volunteer at Trousdale Place. She said, "Someone's got to pinch me to really get my attention." And the whole time through the night, she kind of sat there and played on her phone. She was respectful, but she didn't really believe in ghosts. So we go to the museum, and supposedly the story there is they have a mannequin that's haunted. Her name is Cinderella. Well, while we're ever trying to communicate with Cinderella, she feels like something like touch or pinch her arm, and she rolled up her sleeve, and you could see like a handprint where something had like just kind of went like that.
Really?
I took a picture of it. Yeah, it was very, very strange.
And this was, what was it, part of a tour that she was part of?
We did a fundraiser for the museum in Trousdale Place, like an investigation. People came around, they paid like $20, $30 to go in there and set up some equipment and see if they could.
Oh, so it was part of a kind of an investigation to see if you picked up anything there.
And the gentleman next to her, he felt something tap his arm like right after she got the handprint on her arm.
Yes, something like that is more, what was her reaction?
She was a little creeped out, but I mean, she was tough. She said, "Okay, I guess something's there."
Fine, again, and that's about as bad as it's gotten. Like you said, I mean, you don't view it as being scary necessarily or someone out to hurt you or anything. It's almost kind of neat, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to be known, and as long as you're respectful to them. And someone told me a long time ago, majority of people in the world are good, but if you're a butthead in real life, you'll be a butthead in death. So maybe people, the evil spirits they say that exist in some of these places, that's just somebody who was just a pain in the butt.
But then again, we do know, I mean, in the history of the world, if you believe in this type of thing, millions and millions and millions of people have died. And so it's either really crowded out there with ghosts, or only a few people end up becoming ghosts and others whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean.
Or do you think it's really crowded out there with ghosts?
I mean, I've been in some homes, like historic homes, that you would think they'd be haunted from all the stories, but you talk to folks who work there and have been there for many years, like, there's nothing going on.
Yeah, and there just isn't. So you have any theory as to why some are and some aren't?
It's like that, the empaths you told me, they're raised very spiritual, very religious, and they feel they can't go to the light. That kind of makes the most sense to me.
Oh, that maybe some don't. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Let's take a look at, I think, one of the final photos, and it's some from the book. They're just snapshots from out of the book. I think this one's Gallatin, wasn't it, Mary Elena? I know we had talked about Square, but this is Gallatin, and what do we have here?
Yeah, that's a shop there. See, on the second floor, they were redoing it up there, and the gentleman took me up there. I took pictures. There were 10 by 10 partitions in each of the rooms. It was an old brothel. And there are stories, because the train tracks is right behind it, and they say that the girls would go to the window and wave to the men, they would come back.
As the train come by with passengers, they'd wave to them. Yeah.
And there's also a place called, it's now a barbecue place, but back in the day it was the old workhouse, firehouse, became a brothel in later years. They say that gentlemen, when they went to it, they'd raise their umbrellas so they couldn't be seen going in or out. But they say that a lot of those buildings on the second floor up there, they hear children running around. So maybe with the fires that were there, some of the children didn't get out in time, and the women workers just, I don't know.
Oh, so that's where many people perished in fires.
North Water in Gallatin, there was a lot of fires.
Again, before they figured out how to...
All the fire codes, yeah. And they say they hear children running around, playing, and...
Okay, so, and that's the other part of it. These ghosts may not necessarily all be adults.
Yeah, there's a lot of children. They hear giggling, and like Swaney Swift's, the burger place 2 doors down. They say there's a little girl that will play with your hair. And it's really strange. When I was working on the book, I studied fire, the war, the occupation, and I was wrapping up. There's an older woman named Miss Teresa who worked there or stayed there a lot, and she said, "Oh, the girl here, she died in the plague." I'm thinking, the plague? What do you mean the plague? But I started digging even more, and cholera in 1873 killed 1 in 15 people in Gallatin.
Cholera.
And it was bad. It got in the drinking water somewhere like in Port Lake, New Orleans, made its way up the river, Cincinnati, Louisville, got to Nashville, and spread out from there. But it was bacteria in the drinking water, and it was deadly. Like you would drink something, or you drink spoiled milk, and then 2 hours later, you're dead.
1 in 15 people died.
1 in 15 people died
of cholera. And so that was in the 1800s, you said?
1873.
Holy cow! See, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And so we think some of those that died from cholera, maybe, or again.
Well, they say the little girl, she went there.
Yeah.
The little girl they say is in Swinney Swifts. She went to be treated there. It was an old pharmacy, and her mother sent her there to be treated by the doctor, and she just didn't make it out.
As far as the stories you come across, I know you do an awful lot of research. You hear things. People who read your books, I do imagine you get many contacts from folks suggesting things for you. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't know if some of these callers today, you might get one or two, but I mean, do people reach out to you with stuff?
Yeah. I wrote the Gallatin book, and I've got more stories than 2 or 3 years since this thing has been published, and I did 2 years I did researching it. Like the Opryland book, I worked at the hotel, and I heard stories about the old lady they used to see.
Yeah.
And just people they would contact me, hey, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? And I keep notes all the time, and I've got a back burner. I've got Brentwood, Hendersonville, and Nashville on the back burner. That's what I'm going to do next. And but Opryland was on the back burner for a while, and I just kept getting more and more stories from that part of town. So I just jumped in and made a book about it.
Okay, so you do hear from people. And so
yeah.
like right now, as they're watching, if someone wants, how did people reach you?
SouthernGhostStories.com. I run a Facebook page called Tennessee Hauntings. It's got 14,000 people, and I post ghost stories there, post events. We do ghost tours, investigations, a lot of fundraising stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that, and you were telling me, if you want to just read some of that stuff, you can join. Is it something where you have to be invited to join, or anyone
you can join on Facebook?
Just go to Facebook, and it's called, again?
Tennessee Hauntings.
Tennessee Hauntings.
And I post ghost stories every day, every other day, just things I've collected.
Okay.
And,
Not just around Halloween, just
year-round.
Year-round. And I bet you that's a resource for you.
And that's how I got a lot of stories for Opryland. I post something about Opry Mills, and people just bombard me with stuff about Opryland.
Okay, and then will you reach out to them? Obviously, how much? I mean, it's hard to confirm or, say it's not true when you get these stories. So when you get some, hopefully they seem credible to you. What more do you do to check to see if this is something someone just made up and they're throwing it my way, or it's,
Well, I try to go back in the archives or old newspapers.
See if it confirms
read,
what they say.
Yeah, it jibes with what they're telling me. There's a place in the Gallatin Square. It was an old antique store or a art gallery. And the guy told me that they saw a lady upstairs, weird things happened, but a psychic from Nashville came in and she touched the banister to go up the staircase, and she said, I have to go sit down, I can't feel my right arm, I've got a splitting headache. So he told me that. I went to the archive, and I learned the guy who owned the building was named Robert Sindell. He was a Confederate soldier, lost his right arm in the war, and suffered a head wound. So I put that together, and I sent the guy the news clipping what I found. He said, man, the hair on the back of my neck's standing up right now. When you tie it together like that, in Franklin, the old white building where Starbucks is, there's Starbucks here, there's an eye doctor, and then a mattress store.
Okay.
Starbucks said there's a drummer boy in the basement. The eye doctor said there's a bugler in our basement. The mattress guy said something in the basement, I don't know what it is.
What was the first one?
It was Starbucks is on the corner.
Yeah, I know, but what did you say was in the basement? The first,
Starbucks said it was a drummer.
A drummer, okay.
The optometrist said it was a bugler. And over in the mattress store, they said something's in the basement, I'm not sure what it is. So a friend of mine, Mark Walsh from Rutherford County Paranormal, he and I went there one night, and we set up shop in the optometrist's office. So in the basement, we're getting nothing. So I play the Battle Hymn of the Republic on my phone. Everything lights up, just goes nuts. We go upstairs, same thing, nothing happens. I play the Battle Hymn of the Republic. So Wendy, the lady who works there, she said, what's your name? And out of this box my buddy has, it goes Drake. So she said, did you say Blake or Drake? It went Drake a second time. So she goes, did you say Drake? It went yes. So I go home and I start Googling. I go to the archives. I'm researching old newspapers. Thomas Jefferson Drake was a drummer in the 10th Ohio. And he died in the Battle of Franklin. And before that white building was built there, it was a Bradley home. It was an old house. It was a hospital that night. I can't say for sure that Thomas Jefferson Drake died in that house. Yeah, but it's a whole lot of coincidences.
And where'd you say the name came up on? One of the devices you brought? Or?
It's a geoport. Supposedly it scans the radio waves, and they say the science behind it, it can produce sounds, and and
then it'll interpret it and give you if it's a word, and it said Drake.
It'll speak it. It can say it. It combines radio waves or something. I'm not sure of the technology, but I've had some strange experiences with it. And then when it said Drake twice, and then said yes when you asked it was Drake.
Something.
It's very, very strange.
It's interesting. Is that in one of your books?
It's in the Franklin book. Yes,
gotcha. Hey, listen, Alan, thanks for coming on. That was a quick hour. I really appreciate you coming on. It's fun stuff just to talk about. It's fun, especially during Halloween. And best of luck with your next book. It's a pleasure having you on.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Take a break. Be back. Wrap things up right after this. Stay with us.